I'm Jake, 34M, and I feel like my life just took a turn I never saw coming. I need to spill it all and see if anyone out there has some advice or perspective because, honestly, I'm at a loss. I've been best friends with Alex, 32M, since we were 20. We met in college and clicked instantly. Same sense of humor, same career dreams, even the same taste in music. Over the years, Alex became more like a brother to me than just a friend. We went through everything together. Late-night study sessions, crappy jobs right after graduation, and eventually we both got into careers we love. On the relationship front, I've been with Amanda, 33F, for 8 years now. I met her when I was 26, and she seemed like the perfect match. Smart, funny, gorgeous. Amanda has this charm about her that pulls people in. She works in marketing, and she's always the one in a group who knows how to handle any social situation. For years, I thought she was my rock. The three of us, me, Amanda, and Alex, got along great. Amanda and Alex never had any issues. In fact, they got pretty close over the years. We all hung out often, whether it was grabbing drinks, going to concerts, or just having chill nights in. I used to think I was the luckiest guy to have a girlfriend and a best friend who genuinely liked each other. But now I'm questioning everything. It started with small things. Amanda's been acting off. She's always been a great communicator. But lately, she seems distracted. I'd catch her smiling at her phone more often than usual, and when I'd ask her what was up, she'd brush it off, saying it was just work stuff. I let it slide at first because, hey, everyone gets busy, right? Then there's Alex. He's been distant too. Normally, we talk almost every day, whether it was about work, our favorite shows, or random life stuff. But now, he barely responds to my texts. When we do hang out, he seems different, like he's holding something back. At first, I chalked it up to life being life. We're all adults with responsibilities, so maybe this was just one of those phases where we're all caught up in our own stuff. But the more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. One night, Amanda went out with her coworkers for drinks, or at least that's what she told me. She came back home late, way later than usual, and when I asked how the night was, she gave me this vague answer about her boss being a pain. I didn't push it, but something felt off. The next day, Alex canceled on me for the 3rd time that month. We were supposed to grab dinner, and he texted me last minute saying he wasn't feeling well. Normally, I'd take him at his word, but I couldn't shake the gut feeling that something was up. I decided to trust my instincts, so I started paying more attention. I wasn't trying to be paranoid, but little things started adding up. Amanda would suddenly get defensive if I casually asked about her plans. Alex, who used to be an open book, now seemed like he was avoiding me. One day, I was cleaning up the living room, and Amanda's laptop was on the coffee table. She'd left it open, and there was a message notification on the screen. I wasn't trying to snoop, but the name caught my eye. Alex. My heart sank. I didn't read the message right away. I felt like I'd be crossing a line, but curiosity got the better of me. I opened the chat, and what I saw made my stomach turn. It wasn't overtly romantic, but the tone was weird. They were joking about something from a night out I didn't know about. Amanda said something like, "You're the only one who really gets me." Alex replied, "You know I'll always be here for you." My mind started racing. Why were they talking like this? What night out were they referring to? Why hadn't either of them mentioned it to me? I didn't confront Amanda right away. Instead, I tried to act normal while my brain went into overdrive. I started questioning every interaction between the two of them, replaying moments in my head. Was I imagining things? Or was there something going on behind my back? When Alex canceled on me again the following week, I decided to confront him. I didn't accuse him of anything outright, but I asked if everything was okay between us. He gave me some vague excuse about being stressed with work and promised we'd hang out soon. Amanda, meanwhile, seemed more distant than ever. She'd started spending more time at work or with friends, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being lied to. I don't know what to think anymore. I've never had any reason to doubt Alex or Amanda before, but now I'm second-guessing everything. Am I being paranoid? Or is there something going on between them? I feel like my whole world might be falling apart, and I don't even know where to start. Things started to get worse between me and Alex after that. At first, I thought it was all in my head, but it became harder to ignore as time went on. Alex had always been supportive of me, especially when it came to my career. When I landed a big promotion last year, he was the first one to celebrate with me. But now, it's like something in him shifted. I work in tech and, after years of grinding, I finally landed a leadership position at a well-known company. It's not like I'm swimming in cash, but I'm comfortable. Alex, on the other hand, has been struggling. He's bounced between jobs for years, and nothing seems to stick. He's talented, don't get me wrong, but he has a habit of blaming others when things don't work out. The tension started subtly. He'd make little comments here and there, like, "Must be nice to have everything handed to you," or, "Not all of us have the perfect life." At first, I laughed it off, thinking he was just venting. But the tone kept getting sharper, more biting. One night, we were at a bar, just the two of us. I thought it would be a good chance to reconnect, maybe clear the air about how distant he'd been. Instead, the night took a turn I wasn't prepared for. We were a few drinks in when Alex started talking about his latest job falling through. He was frustrated, understandably, and I tried to be supportive. I told him I knew how talented he was and that something better would come along. That's when he snapped. "Yeah, easy for you to say," he spat, glaring at me. "You've got it all figured out. The job, the girlfriend, the house. You don't know what it's like to struggle anymore." I was stunned. "Alex, come on. You know I've had my share of struggles too. I didn't just wake up one day and have all this." He shook his head and laughed bitterly. "Please, Jake, you've always had it easier. You've always been the golden boy. Meanwhile, I'm just the screw-up who gets left behind." I didn't know what to say. This was the same guy who used to cheer me on, who I thought was proud of me. Now, he was acting like my success was some kind of personal attack on him. "Alex, I'm not your enemy," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "You're my best friend. I want to see you succeed too." He scoffed and downed the rest of his drink. "Sure you do." The rest of the night was awkward. We didn't talk much, and when we left, he barely said goodbye. After that, things only got worse. Alex started making digs at me in front of other people, little comments disguised as jokes. If I mentioned something good that happened at work, he'd roll his eyes and say, "Of course it did." If Amanda was around, he'd turn the charm on with her while ignoring me completely. It got under my skin, but I didn't know how to handle it. This was Alex, the guy who had been there for me through everything. Was I supposed to call him out? Would that just make things worse? Amanda noticed the tension too. One night, after Alex had made another snide comment during a group hangout, she pulled me aside and asked if everything was okay between us. "I don't know," I admitted. "He's been different lately. I think he's jealous or something." She nodded thoughtfully. "Maybe he's just going through a rough patch. Give him some space. He'll come around." But giving him space didn't help. If anything, it made things worse. He started canceling on plans more frequently, and when we did see each other, it felt like I was walking on eggshells. The final straw came during another night out. We were with a group of friends, and I made a comment about a project I was proud of at work. Before I could even finish, Alex cut me off. "God, Jake, we get it. You're amazing. Can we talk about something else for once?" The whole table went silent. I felt my face heat up as everyone awkwardly tried to change the subject. I barely said a word for the rest of the night. Afterward, Amanda tried to reassure me. "He's just lashing out," she said. "He'll realize he's being an ass and apologize." But he didn't. And the more I thought about it, the more I started to wonder if Amanda was taking his side. She always seemed quick to defend him, and she'd been spending more time with him lately. They had inside jokes I didn't get, and every time I asked her about it, she brushed me off. It felt like I was losing both of them at the same time. I didn't know who to talk to or what to do. Was I overreacting? Or was this something I couldn't ignore anymore? The cracks that had been forming in my life finally shattered into pieces when I found out the truth. Amanda and Alex had always been close, but I never saw it as anything more than a friendly dynamic. If anything, I was glad that my best friend and my girlfriend got along so well. That trust was the foundation of how we operated as a group. But lately, the uneasy feeling in my gut had been getting harder to ignore. Amanda started spending more and more time with Alex. At first, it was under the guise of being supportive. She claimed he was going through a rough patch with his career, and as his friend, she wanted to be there for him. That sounded noble, right? Except their time together didn't feel like support anymore. Felt intentional. She'd tell me she was meeting up with Alex for coffee, or that they were going on a walk to talk things out. And when I asked why I wasn't invited, she'd brush it off with excuses like, "Oh, it was last minute," or "He just needed someone to vent to." I didn't want to overwhelm him. I tried to take her at her word, but deep down, something didn't sit right. One night, after Amanda came home late, I decided I couldn't keep my mouth shut anymore. "What's going on with you and Alex?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She looked taken aback. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you're spending a lot of time with him lately, and I don't know. It feels like there's something you're not telling me." Her face softened, and she gave me this practiced look of concern. "Jake, he's your best friend. You know he's struggling right now. I'm just trying to help him get through it." "But why can't we both help him?" I countered. "Why does it have to be just you?" She sighed. "Because he's embarrassed, okay? He doesn't want to feel like he's being pitted by both of us. He asked me to keep it low-key." I was trying to respect that. It sounded reasonable enough, but I still felt like something was off. I tried to push the doubts aside, but they kept creeping back. The breaking point came when I overheard a conversation I wasn't supposed to. Amanda was on the phone with Alex in the kitchen, and her voice was low but urgent. "No, Alex," she said. "I told you, it's not going to happen. I can't do that to Jake." I froze. My heart was pounding so loud I thought she might hear it from the other room. There was a pause, and then she said, "No, we can't talk about this in person. Not again. It's too risky." I didn't know what to do. Confront her right then and there? Or wait and figure out what the hell was going on? My mind was spinning. Later that night, when Amanda was asleep, I went through her phone. I hated myself for doing it, but I needed answers. I found messages between her and Alex. Long threads of texts going back months. Most of them seemed innocent enough, but the tone was intimate. One exchange stood out. Alex had confessed his love for her 2 years ago. 2 years. And she had responded by telling him she didn't feel the same way. But then, in a follow-up message, she admitted she had kissed him once when they were drunk. "No, Alex," she had written. "It was a mistake. I love Jake. I can't do this." But it didn't stop there. There were more messages about other mistakes. She admitted to kissing him 2 more times and even letting him hold her platonically when he was feeling down. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My best friend, the guy I considered a brother, had been making moves on my girlfriend for years. And Amanda, my supposed rock, had let it happen. She claimed it meant nothing, but how do you kiss someone 3 times and say it's meaningless? How do you let someone hold you and call it platonic? The worst part was, she never told me. Not once in the 2 years since Alex's confession did she come clean about what had happened. Instead, she kept it hidden, letting me go on thinking everything was fine while they carried on this. Whatever the hell this was, when I finally confronted her, she tried to downplay it. "Jake, it was nothing," she said, tears streaming down her face. "It didn't mean anything. I never wanted to hurt you." "Nothing?" I shot back. "You kissed him 3 times, Amanda. You let him hold you, and you've been sneaking around with him for months. How is that nothing?" She sobbed harder. "I was trying to protect you. I didn't want to ruin what we have. I love you, Jake. Protect me." I laughed bitterly. "You think lying to me for years is protecting me?" I couldn't even bring myself to talk to Alex. I knew if I saw him, I'd lose it. This was the guy I trusted more than anyone, the guy who was supposed to have my back. And he'd been making a move on Amanda behind my back this whole time. Now, I'm sitting here wondering if my whole life has been a lie. Amanda says she wants to fix things. But how can I trust her again? And Alex? He's dead to me. I just don't know where to go from here. Things hit rock bottom at a party last weekend. It was supposed to be a chill gathering, a small group of mutual friends getting together to celebrate a birthday. I debated whether to go at all, knowing Alex would be there, but Amanda insisted. "It'll be good for you two to clear the air," she said. I wasn't sure what clearing the air looked like when I was still furious, but against my better judgment, I went. The night started awkwardly enough. Alex was there, but he avoided me like the plague. Fine by me. I wasn't exactly dying to talk to him. Amanda, meanwhile, was doing her usual social butterfly routine, flitting between conversations and laughing like nothing was wrong. It was infuriating. Watching the two of them interact. Little glances, shared laughs. It felt like they were playing me for a fool in plain sight. But I kept my mouth shut, determined not to make a scene. That resolve didn't last long. About an hour in, I was talking to a couple of friends when I overheard Alex loudly cracking jokes from across the room. At first, I tried to tune him out, but then I heard my name. "Yeah, Jake's got it all, doesn't he?" Alex said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "The job, the girl. Too bad he's completely clueless about how to keep them." The room went silent for a beat before someone nervously chuckled, trying to diffuse the tension. I felt my face heat up as everyone awkwardly avoided eye contact with me. I walked straight over to him. "What the hell is your problem, Alex?" He smirked, leaning back against the kitchen counter like he'd been waiting for this moment. "No problem at all, man. Just calling it like I see it." "Calling what?" I demanded. "You think you can stand there and talk shit about me after everything you've done?" "Oh, here we go," he said, rolling his eyes. "Poor Jake, always the victim. You think you're so perfect, don't you? But maybe if you paid attention to the people around you, you wouldn't be in this mess." It took everything in me not to swing at him right then and there. "You've been lying to me for years. Sneaking around with Amanda, confessing your little feelings. How the hell am I the bad guy here?" That wiped the smirk off his face. For a second, I thought he was going to back down. But instead, he stepped closer, his expression hardening. "You don't get it, do you? You've always had everything handed to you. Everything. And you don't even appreciate it. Amanda deserves better than that." "Better than what?" I snapped. "Better than someone who's been faithful? Better than someone who actually trusted both of you? Yeah. Real high bar you're setting there, Alex." Before I could say another word, he shoved me. Hard. I stumbled back into the counter, and before I could regain my balance, he swung. The first punch caught me off guard, landing squarely on my jaw. Pain exploded in my head, and I barely had time to react before he hit me again, this time in the ribs. I tried to defend myself, but Alex was like a man possessed. People were shouting, trying to pull him off me, but by the time they managed to drag him away, the damage was done. My face was bleeding, my ribs felt like they were on fire, and I could barely stand. Amanda rushed over, her face pale with shock. "Oh my God, Jake, are you okay?" "Don't," I said, pushing her away. "Don't pretend you care." I grabbed my keys and left without another word, ignoring the chaos behind me. I didn't even bother looking back at Alex. I spent the rest of the night in the ER, getting stitches for a cut above my eye and x-rays for my ribs. Luckily, nothing was broken, but the doctor said I'd be feeling the bruises for weeks. Now I'm sitting here, bandaged and sore, trying to process everything. I keep replaying the fight in my head, trying to figure out how we got here. Alex, the guy who used to have my back no matter what, just beat the crap out of me in front of all our friends. And Amanda? She's been texting me nonstop, begging to talk, but I can't even look at my phone without feeling sick. I don't know what to do anymore. My best friend betrayed me. My girlfriend lied to me. And now, I'm left picking up the pieces of a life that doesn't even feel like mine anymore. After the fight at the party, I decided I couldn't keep living in this state of limbo. I needed answers. I needed the truth. But, deep down, I think I already knew what I was going to find. Amanda kept texting me, calling, leaving voicemails. At first, I ignored her, too furious to even think about having a conversation. But after 2 days of silence, I finally caved. I told her to come over, thinking maybe, just maybe, there was some explanation that could make sense of all this. When she showed up, She looked a mess. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes red from crying. She barely got through the door before she started rambling about how sorry she was. "Jake, I never wanted things to get this bad," she said, her voice trembling. "Bad?" I said, letting out a bitter laugh. "Amanda, you and Alex have been sneaking around behind my back for years. I think we're way past bad." She flinched at my words but didn't deny it. That hurt more than I expected. I'd been holding on to this tiny shred of hope that maybe I'd gotten it wrong. Maybe there was some other explanation for all of this. But there wasn't. "I didn't mean for it to happen," she said finally. "It was just, Alex was going through so much, and I felt like I had to be there for him." "Be there for him?" I snapped. "Amanda, he told you he loved you. You kissed him 3 times. You let him cross line after line, and you never once thought to tell me?" She wiped at her face, her hands shaking. "I didn't want to hurt you. I thought if I just kept it to myself, it would go away." "Well, it didn't," I said, my voice rising. "And now here we are. So why don't you tell me everything? No more lies. No more half-truths. I want the full story." She hesitated, but eventually she started talking. She told me how Alex had confessed his feelings for her 2 years ago. She claimed she was shocked at first, that she told him she didn't feel the same way. But then, over time, things got complicated. She admitted to kissing him, each time under some flimsy excuse. Once when they were drunk, once when he was upset, and once when they were caught up in the moment. She swore it didn't mean anything, but her words felt hollow. "What about now?" I asked. "What's been happening these last few months?" She hesitated again, and my stomach churned. "Nothing physical," she said quickly. "I swear. But we've been talking a lot. He's been leaning on me for support, and I didn't know how to say no." "So you chose him over me?" I said bluntly.
No.
"Jake, that's not what I—" "Don't lie to me, Amanda. Not now. You've been choosing him over me for years. And don't tell me it was about him needing support. You didn't think I deserved to know what was happening in my own relationship." She started crying harder, but I couldn't bring myself to feel bad for her. "I was scared," she admitted. "I didn't want to lose you. I didn't know how to handle it, and I didn't want to face it." "Well, congratulations," I said coldly. "You don't have to worry about losing me anymore. You already have." Her face crumpled, and she reached for me, but I stepped back. "I can't do this, Amanda. I can't look at you and not think about all the times you lied to me. About all the times you chose Alex over me. This isn't something we can come back from." She begged me to reconsider, swearing that she'd cut Alex out of her life, that she'd do whatever it took to make things right. But it was too little, too late. "You should have made that choice 2 years ago," I said. "Or better yet, you should have never put me in this position in the first place." When she realized I wasn't budging, her tone shifted. She stopped crying and started accusing me of giving up too easily, of not wanting to fight for our relationship. "Fight for what?" I said. "For someone who doesn't respect me? For a relationship built on lies?"
No, Amanda.
"You don't get to put this on me." She stormed out after that, slamming the door behind her. I thought I'd feel relieved, but all I felt was empty. A few days later, I learned the final piece of the puzzle. A mutual friend of ours, who had been at the party, told me they overheard Alex talking about Amanda that night. Apparently, Alex had been telling anyone who would listen that Amanda was only staying with me because she didn't want to be seen as the bad guy. He said she was too scared to break up with me, even though she'd been emotionally checked out for months. Hearing that was like a knife to the chest. Amanda hadn't just betrayed me. She'd strung me along because it was easier for her. Now I'm left trying to pick up the pieces of my life, wondering how I missed all the signs. Alex was supposed to be my best friend. Amanda was supposed to be my partner. And now I've lost both of them. I don't know how to move forward from this, but I know one thing for sure. I deserve better. After Amanda stormed out, I told myself it was over. I'd drawn a line in the sand, and there was no going back. But if I thought that was the end of it, I was wrong. Amanda wasn't done with me, not by a long shot. At first, she kept texting and calling, apologizing, begging for a chance to explain herself further. I ignored her, thinking that no amount of explanation could change what had happened. But then her approach shifted. She started showing up at my place unannounced, usually under some pretense. The first time it was raining. Not just a drizzle, but a full-on storm. I was sitting on the couch when I heard a knock at the door. When I opened it, there she was, soaked to the bone, looking every bit the picture of heartbreak and desperation. "Jake," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I didn't know where else to go. I wanted to slam the door in her face, but something stopped me. Maybe it was the sight of her shivering in the rain, or maybe it was the faint, stupid hope that some part of her was still the person I used to love. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the couch, clutching a mug of tea I begrudgingly made for her, and started talking. She told me she'd been staying with a friend, but she couldn't stop thinking about me. She claimed she was sorry for everything, that she didn't know how to fix it, but wanted to try. "I don't even know where to start, Jake," she said, tears streaming down her face. "I know I hurt you. I know I messed up. But I can't lose you." I didn't say much. I let her talk, trying to figure out if any of it was genuine or if it was just another manipulation. By the end of the night, I still wasn't sure. Over the next few weeks, she kept finding excuses to stop by. She'd claim she left something behind. A sweater, a book, a pair of earrings, and used that as a reason to come over. Each time, she'd linger, trying to start a conversation, trying to worm her way back into my life. I started hearing from mutual friends, too. A couple of them pulled me aside to share what they knew. One of Amanda's closer friends told me that Amanda might have been acting out of guilt. She felt trapped, her friend explained. She knew what she was doing was wrong, but she didn't know how to stop. She thought if she could control the situation, she could keep everyone from getting hurt. Control? I asked bitterly. She wasn't controlling anything. She was lying to me and sneaking around with Alex. How is that control? The friend sighed. "I'm not saying it was right, Jake. I'm just saying that, in her mind, she thought she was protecting you. She felt guilty, but she didn't want to lose you. It's messed up, but that's where her head was at." Hearing that didn't make me feel any better. If anything, it made me angrier. Amanda wasn't protecting me. She was protecting herself. She didn't want to deal with the fallout of her actions, so she kept me in the dark and pretended everything was fine. The final straw came one night when she showed up again, this time claiming she just wanted to check on me. It was late, and I'd had a long day at work. I told her I wasn't in the mood to talk, but she insisted. "Jake, please," she said. "Just hear me out." I snapped. "Hear you out? Amanda, I've been hearing you out for weeks. And nothing you say changes the fact that you betrayed me. You lied to me, you chose Alex over me, and now you're acting like you're the victim. Do you even hear yourself?" She looked stunned, like she hadn't expected me to lash out. But instead of apologizing, she turned it back on me. "I know I made mistakes, Jake, but you're not perfect either," she said. "You were so focused on your career, on your own life, that you didn't even see what was happening. You didn't see how lonely I was." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Are you seriously blaming me for this?" I said, my voice rising. "You kissed my best friend. You lied to me for years. And now you're trying to make it my fault because I was working hard to build a life for us." She started crying again. But this time, I didn't feel any sympathy. I was done. "Leave," I said firmly. "Take whatever you think you left behind and don't come back. We're done, Amanda. For real this time." She tried to argue, but I stood my ground. Eventually, she left, slamming the door behind her. That was the last time I saw her. She's still texting me occasionally, but I don't respond. I've blocked her on social media, and I'm trying to move on. It's not easy, though. I keep replaying everything in my head, wondering how I let it get this far, how I missed the warning signs. I'm not sure where I go from here, but one thing's for sure. I can't let her or Alex back into my life. They've both shown me who they really are, and I need to believe them. It's time to put myself first for once. The weeks after Amanda left were some of the hardest I've ever lived through. My emotions were all over the place. One minute, I'd be furious, replaying everything she and Alex did, reliving every lie they told me. The next minute, I'd feel this crushing sadness, thinking about the years Amanda and I spent together, the plans we made, the future I thought we were building. And then there was the guilt. I hated myself for still feeling anything for her. After everything she'd done, I should have been able to write her off completely. But love doesn't just disappear, no matter how much you wish it would. I'd sit alone in my apartment, staring at the empty space where her stuff used to be, and wonder if I'd made the right call. Part of me kept thinking, what if I'd fought harder? What if I'd tried to understand her more? But then I'd remember the messages I found, the kisses, the lies, and the anger would come rushing back. My friends weren't much help. Everyone had an opinion about what I should do, and none of them lined up. Some told me to cut all contact, to block her number and move on. Others thought I should meet with her one last time to get proper closure. A couple even suggested I give her another chance, saying that people make mistakes and that love is worth fighting for. I didn't know what to think. Every option felt impossible. Cutting all contact sounded like the easiest route, but every time I thought about blocking her number, I'd hesitate. What if I needed to hear her say one more time that she was sorry? What if I needed to see her face and know she truly regretted what she did? Meeting her for closure seemed like a reasonable middle ground, but what would that even look like? Would it really bring me peace, or would it just rip open the wounds all over again? And as much as I hated to admit it, the thought of seeing her again made my chest ache in ways I couldn't explain. And then there was the idea of giving her another chance. That one haunted me the most because it felt like such a betrayal of myself. How could I even consider forgiving her after everything? But the memories of the good times we had, the way she used to look at me, the laughter we shared, kept creeping in, making me question everything. One night, I found myself scrolling through old photos on my phone. Pictures of me and Amanda at concerts, on vacations, just goofing around at home. We looked so happy, so solid. I couldn't reconcile those moments with the betrayal I'd uncovered. Was she always this person? Or did she change somewhere along the way? I started wondering if I'd missed the signs early on. Maybe I'd been too focused on my career, too caught up in my own world to see what was happening right in front of me. But then again, wasn't it her responsibility to tell me if she was unhappy? To come to me before it spiraled into this mess? The questions were endless, and they were eating me alive. One night, after a few too many beers, I almost called her. My finger hovered over her name in my contacts for what felt like an eternity. I wanted to hear her voice, to ask her why she did it, to understand what the hell happened to us. But in the end, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I knew it wouldn't make anything better. The next morning, I woke up determined to take some kind of action. I couldn't keep living in this limbo. I needed to decide once and for all how I was going to handle this. I sat down and wrote out 3 options. 1. Cut all contact and move on. 2. Meet her for closure. 3. Try to rebuild the relationship. As I stared at the list, my mind raced through the pros and cons of each choice. Cutting all contact felt like ripping off a band-aid, painful but necessary. Meeting her for closure felt risky, like it could either help me heal or set me back even further. And rebuilding the relationship? That felt like walking through a minefield blindfolded. I kept coming back to the idea of closure. Maybe if I met with her one last time, I could finally lay this to rest. Maybe hearing her side of the story face to face would give me the peace I needed to move on. But part of me was terrified. What if seeing her again made me want to take her back? What if I wasn't strong enough to walk away? The truth was, I didn't trust myself. My feelings for her were still too raw, too complicated. I hated her for what she did, but I also missed her. I loved her, and I hated myself for loving her. In the end, I didn't make a decision that day. I just sat there, staring at the list, feeling like I was trapped in an endless loop of indecision. I don't know what the right choice is. Reddit. Do I cut her out of my life completely and try to move on? Do I meet with her and risk opening old wounds? Or do I take the biggest gamble of all and try to forgive her, knowing it might blow up in my face? I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads, and no matter which path I take, I'm going to lose something. I just don't know if I'll ever feel whole again.